up, and it is scored!
For three. Got it!
With the shot, it's in!
Lights out! Good night! Goodbye!
And that's it! Marshfield wins!
It's a great serve.
Another one!
Drop! And the Rams drop one first here in the Super Bowl!
Nice.
Kick on the field, and it is
Scored! It is scored!
Coverage of MHS Sports is proudly presented by
Biviano General Contracting.
Biviano General Contracting is Marshfield's leading custom modular house builder. Modular building saves time and money. Only 8 to 12 weeks for the entire build, saving up to 25% of the cost compared to traditional building. We also offer custom deck building, kitchen and bathroom remodels, additions, and house elevations.
More information can be found at bivianocontracting.com.
Repel Pest Solutions. Repel Pest Solutions is a full-service pest control company protecting residential and commercial properties from nuisance pests that carry germs and diseases. They are a small, family-run business from Marshfield, licensed, insured, competitively priced. We work to understand your needs and offer an integrated pest solution that's environmentally friendly. Don't be afraid to bug us. Road to Responsibility. Founded in 1988, Road to Responsibility's mission is to provide the means, the opportunity, and the support necessary to allow citizens with disabilities to take their place as productive members of the community. We are committed to providing all individuals with opportunities to truly live in the community. Through our services, we are proud to enrich and improve the lives of every individual, one person at a time.
Welcome to tonight's MIA matchup, Elite 8 between the Marshfield Rams and Pope Francis Cardinals out of Springfield. Tonight we're at Loring Arena. Marshfield will start working left to right in their greens with the white stripes and white numbers, and the Pope Francis in their iconic whites with red striping and red pants. Tonight's starting lineup for Marshfield starts on the left wing with Caden Altabello, in the middle Ben Berrien, and on the right Brendan McLaughlin. On the back end is Brendan Kajuk with Jonathan Sullivan, and then goal number 30, Sal Camara, who's been rock solid for the Rams. We are set to go underway here at Loring as Ben Berrien wins it back, but Pope Francis wins it down into the zone. Marshall chips out to center ice, is thrown back into the zone, caught up in the linesman's feet. Now Pope Francis back, looking to regroup. Up the middle, Zinger through, shots deflected by Sullivan, up and out of play. Both teams will elect for a line change here 22 seconds into the first period. Pope Francis used to being in this spot. Marshfield not so familiar, as Marshfield their only second time in the Elite 8 since the new tournament format. Matthew Keedy wins the draw for the Rams back. Now Joe Merrick throws it back behind his own net to Fithian. Fithian looking for options, up to Jordan. Jordan to the middle for Keedy. Keedy straight across the neutral zone and elects to chip it in. Keedy and Jordan in on the forecheck, unable to get there. Now that's Bossy pursuing. Now it's Waitowi. Back to Zinger. Zinger shoots and saved by Romero. Pope Francis dumps it in deep. Now Bossy trying to collect for the Rams. Joe Merrick on the back check. Over to Fithian and down to Jordan. Rams really trying to use that center in the breakout as he comes under and up. That's Goggin keeping it in for the Cardinals. Now the Rams throw it down ice and the no icing signal by the linesman. Now that's Susie in on the forecheck. O'Neal shoved into the boards, but that was by number 12. 2-1 now for the Cardinals. Shot, and that goes high as Piemonte's shot goes over Sal Camara's shoulder. Goodyear chips off the boards to Giovanello as Giovanello gets the red and dumps in. Now back is Chalanis. Pope Francis tried to play it ahead for number 12, Piemonte, as it goes down for the Rams for an icing. Just about 2 minutes gone here. We play 15-minute periods here in the MIAA. Ben Barry and Rams top line, top defense back out there for them. Same with the Cardinals. You can see a lot of this tonight is Zinger and Berrien lining up on the draws. Berrien ties up. Pope Francis wins it back to Latupe. Jonathan Sullivan lays a big hit coming down for the pinch on number 11, Colje. Rams keep it in. McLaughlin shoved down. Now Matty Regan, the star player for Pope Francis, coming down the wall. Takes the hit from Aldabello, working in the corner now. That's Brendan McLaughlin, knocks him down on his feet. Matty Regan still working down the corner with Zinger. Now McLaughlin chips ahead. Pope Francis collects and dumps it down. Sal Camara stops it behind his own net. Now Kajuk wheels around over to Berrien. As Berrien will chip to deflect in, and the Rams get a full line change. Now Matty Regan carrying it up. Over to number 7, Zinger. And that shot is high, blockered away by Sal Camara. Now Keedy on in behind the forecheck. Joe Merrick takes it over to Jordan. Chip back in by number 23, Watoski. Now Jordan working as he gets the puck out. Now it's Bossy on the forecheck. Bossy almost springs free there. And then Joe Merrick picks up the puck and will elect to dump it in. And that's Teddy Holt on the forecheck. Out there with Susi and Giovanello. Giovanello hits the player into the boards. Now Holt will tries to dump it in as he whiffs. As Goggin plays it back for his partner Thayer. As Joe Merrick steps up and lays a big hit. As the Rams, we're looking up, Fithian throws a pizza into the middle as he does not get it out. Now it's dumped in by Shane Lewis. As Fithian looks up to Holt. Holt chips out to center. Rams unable to get it past the red line, dump it in. And it's sent up and out of play by Pope Francis as we have a draw at center ice. Pope Francis is led by their head coach, Brian Foley, with his staff and his 3 assistants. Marshfield, on the other hand, is led by Dan Conley, the well-tendered coach, over 400 wins in his Marshfield high school career. And McLaughlin tries to slide over to Berrien as it is chipped into the Marshfield bench in the stoppage of play. Now Berrien and Zinger in on the face-off. Zinger wins it back, but McLaughlin able to jump it. Now Pope Francis coming up the ice. That's Colje. Now Regan in. Shot, he scores. Over the glove side shoulder of Sal Camara. Matty Regan hangs up the phone on Marshfield, and Pope Francis is up 1-0 early. That'll get Pope warning and not the start you're looking for Marshfield. As you almost want to just keep this game close to the third period and hope a couple bounces go your way. Not a game you want to play from behind for the Rams. The first line will stay out there for Marshfield as they change the D. Pope Francis doing section, getting into it now as Berrien wins the draw back, but unable to collect. Now Zinger dumps it in. Merrick over to Fithian. Fithian back to Merrick, unable to get it there. Now Doolin coming across. Now it's Altabello coming up the wing. Altabello bodied off the puck by Goggin. Now that's there at the puck. Chips it up ahead. Now Zinger. Over to Doolin. Puck slapped into the corner. Mr. Hockey Chance is the MVP name for the Pope Francis Cardinals favorite, Matty Regan. Now Will Fithian in to collect for the Eagles. Zips it up to Jordan as Jordan will tip it. Unable to get it deep. Now McLaughlin, puck's poked away by Connery. So seem to be rolling 3-4 lines for the Cardinals as Marshfield has shown a 1-2-3, 1-2 so far this game. Have yet to play that fourth line. Shot blocked by Berrien. Now Aquino rushing up, chips it in, and he hits the kid. Now Keedy, and the puck is chipped down, and we will not get an icing as Sullivan catch up to the puck. And we get a whistle here for too many men on the ice, it looks like, or an invalid change. As we have the refs sorted out here, we have a 4-man crew tonight as we have 2 linesmen, 4D. And it looks like we're going to go all the way down. It seems like an automatic, a premature change. Not a penalty, just players hopping over the boards a little too early. Now the Rams will send out their top line again. You can see this line playing almost every other shift tonight, as they will be working overtime against these Pope Francis Cardinals. In on the draw is Matty Reagan this time, the captain for the Cardinals against Berrien instead of Zinger, as Matty Reagan wins it back to Thayer. And now Reagan up to Colejoy, and he tips it in and unable to collect the pass. Colejoy pressuring Kajuk, shoot, and that one's going to go wide. There's going to be a power play for the Rams as Pope Francis Cardinals had too many men on the ice, as the Rams are looking to even it up here on the power play. That's Sullivan in deep, the defenseman, as Kajuk pinches and throws one on net. And Pope Francis is able to get one up to Matty Regan. Matty Regan on a partial breakaway, and we're going to get a hooking call. Let's see if we get the shot. We got a hold on Kajuk. And it looks like we're going to go to 4-on-4. As Pope Francis' bench are pleading their case for the penalty shot, but I don't think he was in all alone. Now Pope Francis will set up a 4-on-4. I'd say this would benefit Marshfield a little with their high-flying forwards, but Pope Francis has some of their own, as Zinger is out there with his brother Zinger, his senior-sophomore duo. Zinger wins it back to Goggin. Goggin elects to dump it in deep. And we have helmets that are connected between Jordan and Zinger. As we refs work here to get them unstuck. We played 7 minutes so far. Pope Francis Cardinals are up 1 on a Matty Regan snipe over the Cal Camara's glove side. As the helmets come off and the refs work to unconnect them. And we get it situated, and the helmets are turned to Zinger and Jordan. Now we see Zinger in on the draw with Doolin on his right, Goggin on his left, and Thayer back. Now Zinger wins it back to Thayer. Thayer down to Goggins. Goggins elects not to play it. Now 50 with the puck, chips it out, takes a weird hop off the boards, and it goes back out to Thayer at center ice. Now Dolan. Unable to play it. Merrick out to Thayer at center ice, and Thayer will dump it in as they try to get to this power play. Now Dolan. Over to Zinger. Unable to connect, but a little scrum in front. Berrien up for Holt. Holt plays it with his hand and unable to connect with his stick before getting that to, I believe, that was Joe Merrick who was rushing up on the ice for a possible 2-on-1 for the Rams. 34 seconds left on the Pope Francis power play, or Pope Francis penalty, rather. until they get their power play, which they will have about a minute and a half left. Now it's Colejoy, wins it forward. Back to Cholino, shot low, glove side, and steered away by Camara. Now that's O'Neal. Down to McLaughlin. McLaughlin poked away by, it's Regan out there. Regan mouthing off at McLaughlin. And puck is chipped and out of play by Sullivan, the Rams defenseman. Let's go and read you some stats here for the Marshfield Rams, as we have the leader in goals would be Berrien, and he also leads them points. He has a 19-21-40 stat line, points, assists, or goals, assists, points. And now Pope Francis plays it down to Colejoy. Colejoy shot and it was just missed wide. Berrien laying a big hit on Colejoy, trying to get this Rams offense back into it. And Sullivan takes a slap shot out of play. As they wrestle to talk about the puck will stay in the end, as Pope Francis has 31 seconds left on Kajuk's penalty. They will look to capitalize and double their lead to 2-0 here. That's Wojtowicz in on the faceoff. And the puck is played back up to Latubi. Latubi out, and a shot will be blocked by Merrick. Now to Libby. And we're going to get an offsides here, as that was Zinger who jumped the gun. McLaughlin and Berrien out for the boys. McLaughlin relaying coach's instructions on what to do after this 16 penalty kill is up. Second penalty kill is up if they can kill it. As Marshfield sends it down, John Sullivan sends it down. A little confusing there for the Marshfield bench. Again, Sullivan off, unable to get their guy in. Now Goggins will dump it in. Merrick will ram it back around to Goggins. Rams with 3 defensemen on the ice right now, with Kajuk, Merrick, and Sullivan. Now that's shot and a save by Camara. And now Harbor Tuck chipped in over to Goggins. Goggins will play it deep. And now Sullivan. Sullivan back to Berrien. Berrien unable to collect. Rams get a little change as they get their top unit plus Kyle Bossy out there. Now McLaughlin looking to head of steam now. McLaughlin taking it wide as he lowers his shoulder. Backhanded out front. Kyle Bossy unable to find the puck. Now Pope Francis unable to communicate on who's going to get it. Puck chipped in deep by Kyle Bossy as he takes it off the stick of Latubi. And the puck is chipped past Jackson O'Neill as the Cardinals bring it in deep. Now that's Donlin up to Latulipi. And it's Bossy on the forecheck over to his partner Thayer. And that's a big hit from a captain, Wojtowicz, on number 16, Goodyear. A couple Pope Francis fans asking for a trip there as he just caught an edge. Shot blocked. Shot, and that shot's broken up by Bossy. Now Susie in on the forecheck. Now back over to Thayer. Thayer shot wide. Pope Francis keeping his own time up right now, as that's another big hit from number 22, Gautreau. Pope Francis will get their top line back out there, as the Rams will send theirs. Pope Francis will last change tonight, see how they can use that advantage. But I think it's more of a disadvantage for Marshfield on that last change, on it, seeing if they're unable to get that top unit out. A little line change here for the Marshfield Rams. Right now you see Teddy Holt up with that top line with Barry and McLaughlin, as you see Altabello take a shift off. And we got a scrum in front of the net as Cole Joy's unable to pick it in. Now Goggin. Goggin shot, fires. Camara unable to trap it cleanly as their rebound is pushed out to center ice by Holt. Now Goggins collects it back up the borders to Coljoy. Now to Matty Regan. Regan shoot off the pad of Sal Camara. Now Kajuk up the wall to McLaughlin. McLaughlin to the middle for Berrien. Berrien skating up ice, unable to beat. He's trying to beat Harachuk on his. And when Marshfield Rams looking for a call, they're unable to get. That's Kajuk down the corner as he's been pinching a lot. It's Berrien unable to connect with McLaughlin. Now Matty Regan, another partial breakaway shot, and that's going to be deflected up over the net. Now Berrien. Berrien picking up, looks at his option, and elects to dump it in and get for a change. Keedy, Jordan, and Bossy out there for the Rams now. Now it's carried up by Pope Francis. Now Cardinals shot, and that's going to be fired into the protective netting. 2:39 here to play in the first period. As the Pope Francis Cardinals got up early for a 1-0 win. 1-0 goal. Rams going to need a couple good bounces today to keep in it, as they have given up a couple chances to Pope Francis, and they have not been very dangerous in the offensive zone. The puck is won by Marshfield and is shipped out to Bossy. Picked up by Jordan. Jordan with speed. Fires it over the glove of Ramsey, the junior goalie for the Cardinals. Now that's Fithian laying the hit, knocking Dolan off his balance. Puck flipped out the middle of the Bossy. Now for Keedy. Keedy trying to protect the puck. Over to Jordan. Jordan unable to get it deep. Now it's Giovanello on the back check as Merrick collects and shoots it out. Now Merrick looking for a big hit, unable to connect. And that's Thomas Connery laying the reverse hit on Merrick. And Pope Thayer looks for Connery as he's unable to connect. Now Connery cycles it low. And then it's going to be backed up, played up. That's Aslan, number 10 on the forecheck. Unable to catch Joe Merrick there. And that's Jonathan Susi with Kane Altabello down there. So that second line seems to stay the same as Altabello drops to Susi and Giovanella. As we have some refs in the stands here, looking to give their best advice to these men in the stripes tonight. We have 1 minute to go in the first period. Pope Francis up 1 still. Now Berrien looking to connect. Now Koljoy picking up with speed. Koljoy beats Kajuk, and it's going to be out front, and Matty Regan unable to collect the rebound. Now that's Holton on the forecheck as Pope Francis throws it in deep. Now that's Sullivan behind the net. Over to Berrien as they fight for it in the corner. Now that's Berrien. And Pope Francis unable to connect the DD pass, but they keep it in deep. 17 seconds remain as we get an icing with 13.3 seconds left, as Pope Francis will try to get one more quick opportunity for a shot. Rams look like they're playing not to lose, not to score here, as they're surviving and giving up many shots from the points. McLaughlin pointing out to Holt where his coverage is, And it looks like it's going to be one up to number 4 for this Pope Francis. That's Berrien. And I'll just flip it out to ice as we have 5 seconds remaining. Icing will be waved off. And that will do it for the first period as we have Pope Francis up 1 against the 15 seed Marshfield Rams.
MCM coverage of MHS Sports is proudly presented by Repel Pest Solutions,
Biviano General Contracting.
Road to Responsibility.
Welcome back here for the second period of MIA Elite 8 coverage of Marshfield Community Media. We have the Marshfield Rams here, of course, in their greens, and the Pope Francis Cardinals in their whites. Matty Regan opened us up on the scoring as he scored 5 minutes into the first period, and that's all we have here so far. Sal Camaro has been steady in net for the Rams as he has steered away a good amount of shots and is looking to keep the deficit at 1 as the Rams hope to tie it up. Now we get set as Pope will send their top unit out with Zinger in the middle of Regan and Colejoy. And for the Rams, we're going to get Kajuk, Sullivan, McLaughlin, Altabello, and Berrien. As we get some noise from the Rams student section, hoping they'll will their team to a tie game and a berth to the Final Four. We have Berrien and Zinger in on the draw for the start of this second period, as Matty Regan gives a good shove to Altabello. As Zinger will win it back to Latube, and as Altabello lays a hit, as Regan will flip it on net, and Sullivan gathers. Now Berrien coming through the middle over to McLaughlin. McLaughlin unable to connect. The Pope Francis will take it behind their own net. Kajuk collects and fires, and that's going to be high and wide, as that doesn't even have a chance. Usually from the point they want a little bit of a lower shot, easier to tip, but I guess they wanted a higher shot there that Kajuk elected for. Now Berrien wins the draw for Altabello. Altabello swings on across the goal. Now Colejoy up to Regan. Regan shot, and that's going to Sal Camara unable to keep that one in his reach. Now Pope Francis collects as Latube. Up for Regan. Over to Zinger. Now back to Regan as Regan shots, and it'll be glove saved by Camara. Good shift there for the Rams. A couple of shots on net. But still in their own end for a face-off as Goggins and Thayer out there on the back end for Pope Francis. As Wojtowicz steps in as they tie up the draw. Fithian elects to play it into his own corner. Pops out for Keedy. And it's a shot denied by Camara. As Pope Francis brings it back into the zone. Now Jordan bumps it back. Looking for Keedy, well, unable. As Merrick steps up, takes the body. And Pope Francis has a goal. Some would say that's a weak goal. Wojtowicz scores and the Cardinals are up 2. Sal Camara looked like he just plain out wasn't ready for that shot. As the Rams now trail 2. Rams have dug themselves a pretty deep hole here against the high-scoring Pope Francis. Pope Francis taunting Camara as we have Susie in on this draw for the Rams. Pope Francis, 6th hardest strength of schedule in the MIAA, behind only the 5 teams in the Catholic Conference, and Hingham. But Pope Francis still stands tall at 14-5-3 at the end of their regular season. Now the Rams looking to break it out as Biviano gets ahead of steam up. And that's Rams looking for a hold there. As Pope Francis corrects and brings it around their own net. Pope Francis' fourth unit out there for their forwards. And Biviano around for Goodyear. Unable to collect. As that's Susie around with the puck. Now it's over to Biviano, unable to catch the pass. And the puck will deflect out of play. Frustrating, starting to grow for the Marshfield Rams here. After that Cardinals' second goal. It's hard to shake those goals off. Well, it should be a shot that's saved pretty easily. As Berrien wins it back to Kajuk, and Kajuk dumps it in deep. Altabello, the first one there. Thayer will ring it around to Regan. Now Altabello in the middle of the ice, shot, and that's going to be high. As you got to at least give it a shot there and hit the net, as you are looking to score here. And Camara unable to track it after Regan's shot, and it pops up and it's steered away. Now that's there, dumps it in, but right into the pads of Kajuk. Kajuk takes it across middle ice as he backhands it into the Cardinal zone as icing is waved off. It's Altabello, and on the forecheck as Berrien looks to collect the puck. That's McLaughlin as he dumps it into the corner. Berrien for a slap shot, and that's blocked by Thayer. Sullivan will carry it back out. He spins around board side and elects to dump it in. No icing for the Rams. Rams with a little bit of pressure here. It seems like their first line is the only line that has gotten any shots here in the second period, or really in the whole game. Now, Winger. That's Singer. Picks it up after Matty Regan ties up the defenseman. And the Cardinals are up 3. As we can see this game get out of hand really quickly here. The Rams have looked a step behind all night, as this is certainly no help, as all 3 goals have been shots from above the dots. And Marshfield here will take a timeout as Conley will try to rally his men and settle it down. Pope Francis started off with a gauntlet of a schedule, we could say, as they played Shrewsbury, CM, and St. John's Prep, all within the first 2 weeks of their season. Some notables is a 3-2 overtime win against the Shrewsbury Pioneers, who will be playing here later tonight against CM. The Knights. And CM, they tied 2-2 back on December 17th. And they lost to St. John's Prep 3-2 on the 27th in the final of the Pre-Frades tournament. A good turning point in the season for St. Mary's, for Pope Francis, when they played the St. Mary's Cardinal and got beaten at their home rink 7-3. As Dion wins it forward all the way down to the ice. That's Petrie in on the forecheck. As Kajuk will fire it in, and that goes off Dion calling for an offsides. Face-off will be at the center dot as Bikino, Dion, and Petrie see their first action of the night. Over to Goggins. And that's dumped in deep by Zinger. Now that's Petrie unable to collect the boards, and it's dumped right back in by Pope Francis. And Sullivan knocked down right in front of the Pope Francis student section, as the Ram will send it down for an icing. Cardinals consulting on what they want to do here for the student section. In front of the student section as they tie up on the draw and as Regan comes in. And they give the assist there on the Pope Francis goal to Zinger and Doolin. And Marshall will chip it ahead, and Pope Francis able to fire it right back in. That's O'Neal back for the Rams, trying to get it to Fithian, but Keedy picks it up behind the net. Now Pope Francis back up top to Thayer. Thayer shot as it goes wide. Now the Rams looking to break out the puck, but it's kept in by Goutreau. As Fithian looks for Bossy as he leaves it for Keedy. Keedy up the ice, takes a hit. As the Rams look to change a couple of men. Now Thayer up the ice for the Cardinals for speed, and that's going to be offside. As Coljoy had a good odd man rush opportunity. It was close, but it was offsides. Coljoy was the one that jumped the gun. That top line and top D pairing back out for the Rams. Same with the Cardinals. Cardinals team has been doing a really good job of shutting down that top unit for the Rams. And after that, the Rams don't have much. Now Kajuk. Rink wide to McLaughlin, unable to connect. Now Berrien. Down on McLaughlin. McLaughlin hits it off there and almost goes in the net. Now it's chipped out. Matty Regan in on the forecheck, unable to get it. Now Sullivan. Sullivan down. Now Coljoy has the puck. Back to Zinger as he's hit by Berrien. Now McLaughlin taking it out the ice and unable to. As McLaughlin retaliates. Now McLaughlin over the middle to Berrien. Berrien opens his hips up to shoot and tries to get over to McLaughlin as he gives it on the wrong side of him. Now Berrien back in the corner. We'll try and cycle it low for Altabello. Altabello back up to Kajuk. Kajuk way wide of the net as McLaughlin tries to cycle it back down low. Regan looking for a stretch there, Goggins. Now Kajuk over to Matty Regan. Matty Regan throwing it to the middle, ends up turning it over to Sullivan. Now Altabello sends it down for an icing, unable to connect with Berrien. We're halfway through this second period. It's the Rams trail the Cardinals 3-0 here in Framingham at Loring Arena, a neutral site game. As we see Susian on the draw for the Rams. It's the third unit out there. And it's won by Woltowski. The Rams try to clear it, unable to, as Sal Camara jumps out to the ice and is thrown down. And that looks like it is Wojtowski thrown down by Fithian, as Wojtowski getting awful close to the goalie. And it looks like they're going to take Fithian to the box for a rough. Well, it looks like they got him for a trip after the play. So the Rams, it's not what they needed here. Penalty kill. As Berrien and Holt will be up front for the Rams, with Kajuk and Jonathan Sullivan on the back end. That's Zinger in on the draw. Zinger, Berrien ties up, but Coljoy is able to collect, shoot, and it's saved by Camara as Camara jumps out and tries to get in the action a little bit. I don't know if you want to see that from Camara after letting up two what could be called softies, but if he isn't being protected by his players and he feels obligated to do that, he's going to go do it. Ben Berrying in on the draw against Zinger, what we've seen all night. One back. Pope Francis wins it back. Now Colajoy. Over to Regan. Regan shot, and that's going to be blocked by Kajuk and into the protective netting. As we get a new puck, both teams will keep their respective players out on the ice. As 1:45 is left to kill on the Rams penalty. Berrien wins it into the corner. Rams unable to collect, though. And that's Zinger. Up to Colajoy. Down and around. Matty Regan will fight for the puck with Kajuk. As he wins it. Back over to Zinger. Now to Colajoy. Back around the net. Matty Regan. Pope Francis looking to set up. Now up top to their defenseman. Now that's Zinger. Unable to get a clean look on the pass. As Pope Francis keeps it in. Pope Francis looking to settle it as Marshfield just keeps fronting. As Zinger makes a couple moves but unable to finish. Now that's Regan up to the top. Now Colajoy. Shot, and that's blocked by Sullivan and Holt. Now it's centered out front and it goes through everyone. Rams looking pretty tired out there. As Colajoy and Holt is able to send it down for an ice, or for no icing, but for clear. McLaughlin and Jordan now out there for the Rams. As Pope Francis will elect to take their time with this one. That's Zinger back there setting it up as he's going to drop it for Goggins. Goggins carries up, makes a move at center ice. Now he has a head of steam, and he's able to push over Jordan. As now that's Zinger with the puck. Zinger on the half wall, shot low, goes wide of the net. Now that's Goggins. Back down for Wojtowski. Up to Goggins, to Wojtowski. Shot, assisted, scores! And this has gotten out of hand. And that's number 7, Wolfgang Zinger, on the goal for the Pope Francis Cardinals, as they are now up 4. The senior captain, as that is his 9th on the year. .6 6:18 left to play in the second period, as the Rams looking for any bounce to go their way. Keating on the draw against Zinger, as Zinger will win it back. Now that's Thayer. Thayer chips it up towards to Regan, as Regan dumps it in deep. Now that's Sullivan. Over to Biviano. Biviano unable to collect and clear the zone. Now that'll be Bossy on the forecheck as Thayer protects the puck from him. Now Kajuk gets it in deep. And now Marshfield crowd seems to be getting restless with these refs, as I've not seen anything myself that has been too huge. Now Matty Regan shoots and he scores! Matty Regan with another one, the senior captain. And that will be his 34th of the season. As it is now 5-0 Pope Francis. As things have gone from bad to worse for the Rams. I mean, what do you try now if you are the Rams, Dan Conley? You've already used your timeout. That clearly didn't work. Now he rolls down the 4th line to see if they can get it going. Now something deep by Coutreau. Now Kajuk over to Holt, unable to collect. Now that's Dion in, able to get the puck deep. Pope Francis on the boards as Petrie finishes his check on the captain, Kuchova. And now Fithian knocked down by Gaudreau. Seen a couple of good hits from him tonight as Holt dumps it in deep. And the Rams will go in for a change. And the Pope Francis will send it all the way down as icing is waved off as Joe Merrick catches up to the puck. Fithian over to McLaughlin, and that's kept in by Pope Francis. Now dueling in on the forecheck, and Marshfield is forced to hit the puck up and out of play. Student section starting to go back and forth at each other as this has became not very much of a game on the ice. Now Goggins over, shot, one-timer from Zinger, goes wide. Now Thayer, fired on net, gets through, stick save by Kamara. Now spun back as Kamara is able to recover on Zinger's rebound shot. Zinger brothers out there. .416 left here in the second frame. Wojtowski setting up what he wants to do. Looks like he's going to go to Goggins. As Berrien's able to win the draw, but Doolin collects. Dolan down and around behind the net. That's for Zinger. Now Wojtowski looking for Zinger. Moves it over to Thayer. Thayer unable to collect, recollects, and just elects to dump it in deep. Now that's Dolan. Up to Goggins. Over to Thayer. Thayer rips, shot. That'll be blocked by Altabello. Now Marshfield able to clear it out. Ben Berrien looking to catch up to Goggins, unable to do it as he gets it over to Thayer. As Altabello lays a good hit on number 3, Mason Thayer. And the Rams shot as McLaughlin nearly whiffs on the puck. As Berrien collects in the offensive zone. See this game get chippy pretty quickly here for the Rams. They try to spark plug their offense. Now Tkachuk rallies behind his own net, makes a move up to center ice. And he's unable to lose his control of the puck as that Charbon picking him up. Berrien knocks down number 12, Piemonte, as they get tangled up. Now that's Susi. And it's shot over in the deflective netting by number 28, Brady Bacchino. .249 as we almost close on the second frame. Pope Francis Cardinals has put up some big numbers, has scoring 4 goals this period. No goals have been quote-unquote gritty goals, but they certainly have all gone in the net. Some of them have looked better than others. Now Fithian over to get on Coljoy. Now the Rams collect behind their own net. That's Bacchino. He flips it out as Giovanello looks to catch up on it. As Pope Francis collects and throws it over to Coljoy. Coljoy from Mauri Regan as he chases down Joe Merrick in the corner as he makes the body contact. As Joe Merrick comes out with the puck though. Joe Merrick rushes up ice as he tries to put it through Harbachuk's legs and unable to. Merrick has lost his stick. As that's McLaughlin with the puck now. As he tries to get it back up to O'Neill, but it's chipped out by Kulijoy. Now that's Goodyear. Up to McLaughlin. McLaughlin unable to get it into the zone. As Pope Francis collects, that's Zinger. Over to Lukowski. Now Berrien fighting for it in the corner as the Rams are looking for a call. As McLaughlin's now in a race. McLaughlin forehand, backhand it, and is gloved by Ramsey as what looked like to be the star of the Rams offense goes away. .122 left here in the second period. It's been all Pope Francis so far, as Regan has gotten his 33rd and 34th goal on the night, or the season. Now Pope Francis will go up to Coljoy, looking for Regan, unable to get to him. Now that's Zinger in. Now Coljoy in on the forecheck as Sullivan flips it out. Less than a minute to play here in the period as McLaughlin swings it over to Berrien. Berrien looking for Altabello as that's stopped by Thayer. And a shot to McLaughlin out in front, and he's unable to connect as that's Ramsey covering it up for the Cardinals. Rams will send their fourth line out. Try not to let up another goal here as they tried them out in nearly impossible comeback. Dion in on the face-off, but Olorkowski wins it back. Up to Zinger. Olorkowski, now Dolan on it. Dolan drops to Olorkowski, unable to connect. Now Pope Francis wins it back. Hits off the linesman's skates. A break for the Rams here. Kajuk drags shot from Dion, unable to go. Now Holt trying to get a hold of it. Zinger goes up to Olorkowski, and that's offsides. Still delayed as Kajuk now has time to turn up ice. Kajuk looking to push the puck. Skates around Dolan. Now Kajuk shots, and it hits off of the Pope Francis defenseman. It's rimmed around, and that will do it for our second period. 5-0 Cardinals here in the second period, as the Rams will look to make it somewhat of a game in the third period.
MCM coverage of MHS Sports is proudly presented by Repel Pest Solutions,
Biviano General Contracting.
Road to Responsibility.
Welcome back inside Loring Arena here in Framingham. Some Marshfield Rams look to keep their playoff hopes alive, but they face a big hill as they're down 5-0. It's a very talented Pope Francis Cardinals team and a very solid goaltender, George Ramsey, who has been perfect tonight. The Cardinals opened up the scoring. Matty Regan, their star captain, Mr. Hockey nominee for the MVP in mass hockey, as he scored 5 minutes into the first period. And then the floodgates opened up in the second. What seemed like a 1-0 game, the Rams were right in it at the start of the second. Quickly turned into a 5-0 game. And the Rams, some people, they look to keep playing hockey. They look to keep their hockey career going. As the Cardinals, they look to stop them, the Rams, and have them put the hockey gear away till next season. So here we go for the third, as we have Zinger, Colajoy, and Regan up front, as Pope Francis wins it back, and Berrien lays a hit into the Marshfield bench. Now that's Regan, out to center, nobody there. Berrien's able to pick up. Berrien picked out to Altabello. Altabello shoots into the shin pads of the Pope Francis defender. Now that's McLaughlin looking. It would be big if the Rams can get here just to give them a little bit of hope on this first shift. Kajuk turned around. Now over to now Thayer dumps it in for the Cardinals. That's Sullivan, the lone man back for the Rams. Sullivan up to Berrien. Berrien toe drags, but is stopped at the red line. by Zinger. Now Kajuk chips it in as it catches Varian and on the dump in, and we will have an offsides. Rams send one of their lines out. Looks like the third line was Susi, Giovanello, and Holt, as it's 50 and Merrick on the back end for the Rams. Pope Francis looks to play it off the ice to Zinger, as the Rams able to get it back up quickly. Stay on sides as Dolan rips and goes into the back of his own player. Susi in on the forecheck, unable to collect. Now Fithian dumps it in onto Ramsey. Pope Francis picks it up behind their own net. And that's Harbachuk. Up to Dolan. Now to Merrick. Merrick dumps it back in as icing's waved off. Merrick first in on the forecheck for the Rams. Now Holt in on the forecheck as Keedy looks to pick up Dolan. Keedy uses a good job of using his body to deflect the puck. Kajuk looking to fish the puck out of the corner for the Rams. Now as Jordan comes flying in from the bench, able to pick up the puck, but Dolan's the lone man for the Cardinals in it. Now Kabasi over to Sullivan. Sullivan will carry it up ice and chip it down, and the icing is waved off. Pope Francis breaks it out of the zone. Now you have Kachava carrying it up. Shot, and that's off Sullivan's stick, and it will be deflected up into the rafters, high and above the ice. Marshfield will send back out their top unit with Barry and McLaughlin and Altabello. As Pope Francis, looks like they have their fourth line out there. A mix of their fourth and their third line. That's Connery, dumps it in, unable to get it deep. Sullivan up to McLaughlin, over to Altabello. McLaughlin able to drag his leg and stay on sides. McLaughlin up to Berrien. Berrien in the corner, loses his balance. Now Piemonte, carrying up the ice, looks to gain the red and dumps it in on Camara, as Camara sticks that one aside up into the protective netting. Rams playing 5D, 3 lines, and a little bit of their fourth line up front. As this Rams team will most likely after this game be graduating a lot of seniors, but they also have a lot coming back. As Goggin up pinches, but Thayer dumps it in, as Merrick able to clear. Now Holt trips it ahead, back to O'Neill. Merrick over to O'Neill, as O'Neill throws it up the boards to Giovanello. Now Merrick will dump the puck in, as Thayer's back for the Cardinals. And as Giovanello tries to lay a hit on Thayer, Thayer stays on stall. Now the puck will go back out to Merrick. Merrick will get the red line and dump it in, but it goes into Thayer. As Jackson is in a foot race, and he wins it as he brings it up the boards. But now Kolojoy has the puck, and Camara is able to block her aside. Now number 9, Ben Berrien, unable to get it as Matty Regan dumps it in, and now is on the forecheck on the Rams O'Neill. O'Neill up to Giovanello, as that's Petrie on the forecheck. Or excuse me, that's Dion in there. As poked away from Kajuk on Kolojoy. Kolojoy with Sullivan. As Sullivan does a good job watching the body. As Kolojoy tries to steer it in front, but it's picked up by Dion. Dion glassing up to Kolojoy, as that's shot wide, and it comes back to Horvathuk. Horvathuk's shown on net. But Sal Camara blockers it away. And now it's shot and saved as Bikino unable to clear. As now that's Petrie gets the red and dumps it in. They'll go for a change. As the first unit is going every other shift for the Rams. Now Matty Regan tips it into the Rams zone as Kajuk looking for Berrien. As Berrien gets it poked away by the Pope Francis defender. And that's Wachowski bringing it back. And now it's dumped in by Latupi. Now Sullivan up to Altobello. And it gets caught in the feet of McLaughlin. Now Kajuk makes a one-man miss. Now he's over across the blue. Toe drags in deep, and Ramsey is able to cover. Under 10 minutes to play here as the Rams try to pull off a miracle comeback. Down 5 to the number 7 seed, Pope Francis. The Rams, how they got here was a big upset over the number 2 Zavarian. That game was 2-0 in regulation. Now Altobello will chip it in deep as Berrien's first in on the forecheck. Fair, able to push Berrien off balance. Now Goodyear gets beat by Kavuchi as Goodyear collects and goes up to Berrien as he slides it to Altobello. Altobello tries to leave it for Berrien as Berrien's unable to. Berrien almost gives a stiff arm to Connery. Now Goodyear will elect to play it in deep. And we will have an offsides. Couple of real good top-end talent players for the Ram here. Could be their last game. Such as Ben Berrien, Brendan McLaughlin, Kajak and John Sullivan. And that's 4 out of their top 5 on their offense and defense that is graduating. And their goalie, Sal Camaro, is also a senior who will be graduating this spring. As the puck is dumped in deep to the Marshfield end as Kajuk behind his own goal. Looks for a man to stretch. And he throws it to Holt. Holt unable to retrieve it. Now it's Susi with the puck into the corner. And as they battle for it in the corner. Puck pops free. And now Giovanello tries to go retrieve it. And the Pope Francis is able to send it down as we get an icing. Pope Francis bench in a little bit of confusion as one linesman had it waved off, but the ref seemed to overrule him. Now we get Keedy in on the draw against Connery as Jordan is held up over to Keedy, up top to O'Neal as O'Neal is thrown on net, but it's kicked aside by Ramsey. Now Jordan swings it around looking for Keedy. And an ice will be called. It's 7:43 here. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting dimmer and dimmer for the Rams, and the door is closing. Pope Francis will get the winner if they keep this lead of the Hingham Arlington Catholic game. That game is going on right now over in Stodom. Now Pope Francis up to Wojtowski. Wojtowski dances, fires, and it's gobbled up by Camara. Rams will continue sending out their top line every other shift, as long on the back end with Kajuk and McLaughlin. And the faceoff is one back to the Pope defender as he shoots, and it's caught up in Berrien's body. Now Sullivan looking to chip up for McLaughlin, unable to get it there. Now Barron collects the puck out to Altabello at center ice. Altabello with speed, shot, and it goes wide. As Kajuk looks to throw one on net, and that one's wide. Rams have missed the net a good amount tonight. As Zinger sends it down, and icing is waved off as Sal Camara plays it. Now that's Goggins looking for Barron as Barron avoids the hit. Barron rushing with speed. Looks to throw it to the middle, unable to. Sullivan pinches, but now it's there. There with Dolan, as Kajuk has a good stick to able to break it up. Now McLaughlin out to center ice, looking for Dion, unable to connect. Puck is thrown around. Camara will stop it behind his own goal. As Pope walks in, and a nice save from Camara there. Had a tough night tonight, but he was looking to take one thing away. You can look at that save off of number 10. And it's flung back out to ice as Pope Francis unable to get it right back in. Horachuk down, and he's almost able to find his man as Sullivan connects to the puck. Or under 6 minutes to go as Dion, rink wide pass for Biviano. Biviano hit into the boards heavy. As Pope Francis will carry it back up. Off the boards to Connery. And Fithian will go off the boards to Petrie. And now that's Scribellon for the Pope Francis that's able to break up that play. As Jack Giannetti sees his first action of the night tonight. As number 2 is out there for the Rams. As he is playing forward rather than his listed position at D. Pope Francis bumps it up. Now it's Regan. Spins and tries to get it in deep. But as Jackson collects and is taken down from behind by Colejoy. And that's Keedy rushing up ice, but it's poked away by Dolan. Now Pope Francis taking over the line, Dunja. A shot by Regan and a save, and it's still loose by Colejoy as Sal Camaro sprawling out in front of the net, able to clear it. We're under 4.5 minutes to go here in the game as Colejoy takes it in ahead of steam. Reverse hits Dargan as Colejoy stick handling around the Rams defenders. Tries for a Michigan, unable to get it up on his stick. Now we have Pope Francis looking on the forecheck for Regan. Able to be kept in by the Pope Francis defender as it's thrown on indirectly to the net. Now McLaughlin unable to collect as Regan now collects over to Wojciechowski, and that's going to be shouldered away by Camara. Now Keedy up on the ice, stick handles away. Goggins and Thayer back for the Cardinals. Now it's Thayer looking up ice, unable to connect. Unable to connect with Zinger. Barrion over to Altabello. Altabello will elect to dump it in deep. Goggins back to collect. Now up to Zinger. Zinger over to Wojciechowski. And we're going to get an offside as Dolan was offsides. Pope Francis will make a goalie change. In comes the senior, number 1, Caleb McClear. Caleb McClear probably giving a lot to this Pope Francis organization program. As the Pope Francis student body seems pretty excited about their man getting in net. As Holt chipping it up to Hortuck. As the puck is flipped into the air. As Holt able to collect as he banks it off the boards, but collected by Aslan. Now Pope Francis dumps it in deep. Kuchovi on the forecheck as now he gets a shot, and Camara looks like he flinched and closed his eyes at that one. Now Hortuck's shot high and wide, and that one hits off the dasher and goes into the netting. Just over 2 minutes to play here, as Marshfield will look like they will be putting a close on their 25-26 season. Team did well with a record in the regular season of 17-6-1, 8-1 in the Patriot League, their respective conference. As Brendan Kajuk looks to pressure. As it's dumped in by Kajuk. Now Dargan seeing his first minutes of the night, the senior defenseman. Under 2 minutes now. Kajuk will flip it all the way down and we will have an icing. We have some line mismatching going on. See if we can get some upperclassmen in their couple final minutes here on this varsity ice. Some might play club, but other than that, it's just men's league from here. There's Kajuk. Jonathan Sullivan goes into the corner. Unable to collect the puck as Berrien fights for a two, and that plays back out to Goggins. Goggins will flip it in deep as it gloved by Camara and placed down for Kajuk. Kajuk looking for a stretch pass, looking for Dion. As Dion hits there into the boards. We have a minute to play here in the MIA Elite 8 game. A trip to the Songus Center on the line. Again, Pope Francis will get the winner of the Arlington Catholic Hingham game that is be playing right now at Stodom Arena. Now Dion over to McLaughlin. McLaughlin shot and it's blocked away. Now Sullivan backhands out to Jordan. Jordan up ice to Berrien. Berrien over to McLaughlin. McLaughlin one-timer high. Goggins shoves down Jordan as Berrien. Rams looking to get a goal here for their seniors in their final games. As the puck is tossed up and out of play by Pope Francis defenders Cole Harbachuk. 14.1 seconds to Pope Francis gets to go to their final four. It would be a good redemption from last year's 1 seed and being upset by CM in the Elite 8. As we're under 10 seconds. As Pope Francis flips it out to ice. As Koljoy looks to put the final touches on it. And Pope Francis will be moving on to the Elite 8. That will do it tonight. 5-0. Pope Francis, the final. As we congratulate Marshall on a great season. And we wish good luck to Pope Francis the rest of the way. I'm Teddy Parrell closing out here from Loring Arena. Thank you and have a good night.
MCM coverage of MHS sports is proudly presented by
Biviano General Contracting,
Biviano General Contracting is Marshfield's leading custom modular house builder. Modular building saves time and money. Only 8 to 12 weeks for the entire build, saving up to 25% of the cost compared to traditional building. We also offer custom deck building, kitchen and bathroom remodels, additions, and house elevations.
More information can be found at bivianocontracting.com.
Repel Pest Solutions. Repel Pest Solutions is a full-service pest control company protecting residential and commercial properties from nuisance pests that carry germs and diseases. They are a small, family-run business from Marshfield, licensed, insured, competitively priced. We work to understand your needs and offer an integrated pest solution that's environmentally friendly. Don't be afraid to bug us. Road to Responsibility. Founded in 1988, Road to Responsibility's mission is to provide the means, the opportunity, and the support necessary to allow citizens with disabilities to take their place as productive members of the community. We are committed to providing all individuals with opportunities to truly live in the community. Through our services, we are proud to enrich and improve the lives of every individual, one person at a time.
Crossing a 50, 40. He's got 2 men to beat. No one's gonna catch. Pick it up, and it is scored.
For 3. Got it!
With the shot, it's in. Lights out. Good night. Goodbye.
And that's it! Marshfield wins! It's a great serve.
Another one drop. And the Rams drop one first here in the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Kick on the field, and it is